morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it's Thursday. And for those of you who don't know, that's my favorite day of the week because I don't work on Fridays. So very, very exciting. We've got a car in the middle of nowhere here. I don't know what that truck's doing. Obviously totally lost. I remember that feeling when I first came to live in this area. I spent 2 hours trying to find the house I was trying to buy. Funny enough, once you knew where it was quite easy. Have any of you noticed that? Everything's easy to do once you know how to do it. It's just like, it was just unbelievable. Anyway, so socked in clouds today. 44 degrees American and a mere 7 degrees Canadian, not too bad. As you can see, I'm not even wearing my coat or my raincoat this morning. I had a good night's sleep and I'm happy about that. I definitely am looking forward to a sleep in tomorrow though. I can feel my body is really tired this week, and it's ridiculous because I've had a very short week. You know, Monday was a holiday and now I get Friday off as well. So it's a short week for me, but even so, really tired. And I'd love to tell you because I've been out partying and doing all sorts of fun things, but you know me better. So what I thought I would have a talk about today is just a little bit more about this subject of emotional intelligence, which I'm going to keep touching on. I'm going to just find different bits of it to talk to you about, because it is really something that's pretty important if you are wanting to have a healthy life. And really what emotional intelligence is, in simplest terms, is how do you react to things? You know, and I can't help thinking that, you know, what's going on in the Philippines right now is part of that. For example, some of us will watch what's going on in the Philippines, be really very sad about what's going on. We'll realize that there's not much that we can do to help except maybe donate money to help buy the stuff that everybody needs. And then some people will go right ahead and go and do that. And although people may continue to watch the news and be saddened by it, they are not affected by it. Right? It doesn't ruin their day, or they don't end up a mess because somebody somewhere else in the world is suffering. Now, I don't mean to sound cold-hearted on this, because it's not what I mean at all. Because you can be very caring and still be able to cope with that in your mind. You just don't let it absorb your whole being for the day. Now, obviously, for those people who've got family and friends who've been affected by this, that will be a lot more difficult to do. That to keep those things separate. And if you like, it's like, how do you compartmentalize these things in your brain? I think that would be sort of part of what it is. So those people, some people are able to sort of look at it, go, okay, fine, I can do this, this, and this. Do I want to? That's another thing. You'll find people with emotional intelligence will say, yes, this is possible to do, but do I want to do it? And then they will make a decision and then stick to it. End story. And to some people that seems cold. Some people that seems like they don't care. And it's not true. It doesn't mean they don't care. It's about they look at what is possible to do. Now, does that mean that they don't look for other options. Not necessarily. They can be sitting, at dinner or, chatting around the water cooler or something, and somebody will come up with another option, and they'll go, something, I hadn't thought of that, that's a good idea, and go off and go and do something, whatever it is. And so, but what they don't do is get emotionally tied into it. As I said, those people who have got family and friends who are directly affected, I can totally understand that they will be more severely affected, and so they should be, because you're talking about family and friends here that have been directly affected. The same thing, if you remember, those of you who were viewers at the time, when the mall shooting happened in Kenya, we were able to look at that and go, gosh, that was really sad. And then we found out that one of Dougie's relatives was killed in that. Now that brought it to a whole new level for me, for sure, and I'm certain for some of you who know Dougie. And those of you who don't know Dougie, you probably didn't worry any more than anybody else. But you can imagine a whole community of people here in Canada, or Kenyan community, were deeply affected because they all at some level had family or friends that could have been affected. So until they know for sure that nobody was, they get very concerned and very frightened, and understandably so. So again, let's have a look at some other situations where this emotional intelligence comes to play. Let's say that through no fault of your own, or even a fault of your own, you get yourself into some financial trouble. And I'm sure more than one of you out there knows this story. Well, you've got two ways of getting out of it. And you've got three ways of coping with it. The first way of supposedly coping with it is to ignore it and just say to yourself, well, I don't have any money, therefore I can't fix this. I haven't got enough money to fix it all, so I can't fix it. And then just, ignore the credit calls, ignore this, ignore that. And yet, there are others who will look at this. I've just seen the cutest backpack. Oh my God. It's an owl. It is the cutest thing. In the back of a little kindergarten kid. Oh my God, that is so cute. Anyway, as I said, I make fun of my day. So then, one of the things that always helps me understand these things slightly better is I try and think of somebody that I know that is really, I admire in the way they react to things, or rather, I admire in the way they don't react to things. They don't get all churned up. It might be your doctor, or it might be your lawyer, or somebody you know who's a lawyer if you don't have one, or it might be your bank manager, or, somebody who deals with a lot of stuff but doesn't seem to react to it all. And so I always like to have a picture of that person in my mind and say, well, how would, Jane deal with this? And for the longest time, I had a friend of mine who was a senior VP at a bank. You don't get to do that if you overreact to stuff. So, so I would just sit there, whatever the situation was that hit me, and go, okay, fine. I know how I want to react to this. I want to scream and shout and cry and do all sorts of things and blame the world for what's happened. But is that the way that Jane would deal with this? No. You see, what happens is people with high emotional intelligence look at the situation and go, okay, what are my options? Boom, 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 and boom. And then put a plan in place to fix it. You don't try and fix it in 2 days, or all or nothing thinking. If I can't totally fix it, then I can't fix it at all. No, they go, okay, what's the best I can do? And maybe that's okay, I can pay back, $20 a month. And then they'll put that plan in place. They'll phone up the person they owe money to and say, look, I hit really bad times. Here's my plan. I'm going to pay you guys $20 a week, and to show you that I mean that, I'm going to give you a series of checks for $20. And feel free to put them in at the beginning of every month, knowing that if they bounce those checks, it's going to cost money, and they will have lost trust with the creditor. But you see, the other thing that people with emotional intelligence do is they don't commit more than they know they can do. And most people, if you owe them money, would far rather, get a little bit of money every month and know that you're paying it off than not get it at all. So now let's take something as painful as a relationship. And I know that I have a lot of viewers who have breakups in relationships. And you'll forgive me for this one because there's part of me going, I don't miss that. I mean, my heart bleeds for you, but I don't miss that at all. I remember the pain of that. And there was a lot more pain when I was young than since then. So I know that some of you get totally bent out of shape when a relationship breaks up. Now that can be a relationship with a friend or with a boy or girlfriend or whatever. Doesn't matter. A relationship is a relationship. Your best friend can suddenly not be your best friend, and then what's left of your life is what you're thinking. Well, the truth is this: everything. And that's the difference between somebody with emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence. An emotionally intelligent person will be sad and maybe angry, that the relationship broke up. But they're not thinking, well, I'll never get another relationship like that again. They're going, what do I need to do to get another relationship like that? And that's get out there, be friendly to other people, be a good friend to somebody else, and start building new relationships. I think one of the things that I found as a young person, and I was quite lucky in this, I found that going off and traveling on my own when I was in my 20s actually did quite a bit for making me grow up in that way. Because everything that went wrong, I couldn't run to mommy and daddy and tell them, okay, fine, this has gone wrong. I sort of had to make a plan. And that's emotional intelligence, when you make your own plan and survive. However, I do know that it took a great deal of courage, and it took a great deal of truth, I think would be the word. Now, am I brilliant in these things? Absolutely not. Just ask anybody who knows me. Right? For the longest time, I got totally invested in relationships. Totally. And I would live my life through my relationships. Oh my God, do I remember that? I just really did do that. And I have no wish to do that again. My happiness depended on my relationship. Yeah, that's definitely a recipe for disaster. And I was reading something about Goldie Hawn and Kurt Douglas. I think they've been together for 30 years or something. And what they both say is that they genuinely adore one another in a very fun way. They're both fun people, and they are both imperfect people. They said they'd had their ups and downs, but not many. They'd had their ups and downs, but they've stuck it out. And that is also part of that not overreacting to stuff. You know, there are going to be times in your life where you have tough times, you know, whether it's with a friend or with whatever. And it's not about all or nothing. Either you do this, that, the other, or else I leave you. Although sometimes you may need to do that. But only you choose whether you leave them forever or just until they understand that you're serious about this. So, as you go through your day today, sort of question yourself as to how you're reacting to things. Did you make too big a deal of this? You know, you went to the store to go shopping and they didn't have your favorite whatever. Did you really have a snit? You know, did you stomp your foot like a 5-year-old and have a little emotional fit? Or did you just go, fair enough, they ran out of X, Y, and Z. Somebody's made a boo-boo. Let me pop into the next store and see if I can find her. Now, is it ideal? Is that what you wanted? No. But is it worth having a major snit about? I don't think so. Is it inconvenient? Yes. Now, if it's the last ingredient to a special meal and you're already running late, the emotional involvement in it will be much greater. Does that make sense? Let's say you forgot to do the right shopping in time to cook this special meal that you were trying to cook, and the one ingredient that you have left on your list is not in the store where you quickly popped in to get the last minute stuff, and now you've got to go to another store. Now that's a whole different ball of wax, because now you're really invested and angry. And now, but you know, when you look at it from an emotional intelligence point of view, you can look at it and go, okay, fine, seriously now, hang on. Why am I so upset? And the reason will be because you didn't do this shopping 3 days earlier. That's really what makes you angry. You're angry at yourself to a large degree. Or if you felt entitled. In other words, it is the shop's duty to be fully stocked when I walk in there. How many of you know, it's a bit like, you know, traffic lights and everything else. It's the world's duty to make them turn green when I get there. How many of you live that life? And if they are not green, you know, whoa, do you get emotionally involved in it? So, start looking at this emotional involvement that you have in things and start smiling a little bit more. Because every single reaction you have is a choice. And as we've discussed before, if some bozo cuts you off as you're driving, you choose to curse and swear and give yourself a near heart attack that the person who cut you off doesn't hear because they're in their car 2 miles away already. Or you can just smile and go, wasn't the best bit of driving I saw today, but I'm glad that he's ahead of me, and I'm going to be really careful about how I drive for the next few minutes in case there's an accident up ahead, because it's possible. Or a third option would be, wow, I hope nothing has happened in his life that makes him need to speed like that. Maybe a child has suddenly been rushed to hospital. Maybe his wife or her husband, you know what I mean, suddenly got rushed to hospital. All things about which we have no knowledge about this other person. rather than take it personally and go, this person was out to get me, and then get that emotionally involved. Not a good idea. It's a choice. And depending on your emotional intelligence, you will make different choices. I hope that makes some sense to some of you. I hope for some of you you're going, wow, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but I can see that now. So if you have, I'd really be interested in some of your stories of when you actually did get emotionally involved. And I mean, for me, it's my love life, no doubt about that. I could spend a year talking to you about my love life and how totally messed up it was. And I know at least one person out there is going, oh yes, do tell us about that. But I used to get so emotionally involved. And because of that, I used to get so incredibly hurt. Yeah, it was like people ripping up my heart from inside and leaving that cavity open in my chest, and I would just bleed. And I'd bleed for a long time. So have a look at your life. Have a look at, is your emotional intelligence causing you to have a sad life rather than a happy one? Because there is no doubt in my mind that I now live a much more balanced life. And stuff still happens, don't get me wrong here. Stuff still happens. I still have the same emotional problems, in as much as things still happen that can really upset me that much. And yet I now choose very differently. It is not worth it to me. And I have to thank certain people in my life for that. That have come into my life and shown me that, you're not this problem. For those of you who, maybe have had a relationship go sour, this doesn't mean you're a bad person or unlovable. It means that you were not the right person for this person who dumped you. That's all. Doesn't mean you are unlovable. What about if you hit some financial crisis? Doesn't mean you're a loser. It may mean that you made some bad choices or that you weren't very responsible. But it doesn't mean you're a loser. You're only a loser if you don't do anything to fix your problem. If you don't do anything to correct it for next time. If you don't plan better. And quite honestly, how many of us have promised ourselves we're going to do these things better next time and don't? I'm sure I'm not the only one with that story. So, look at it and go, okay, fine, we can only do our best. And if your best is that you're not very well controlled, then you're going to have a lot of these emotional up and downs. And you see, the thing is that people with high emotional intelligence don't have these high emotional up and downs. Why? They are acting more responsibly overall. They actually pay their bills, they pay their taxes, they pay, things that need to be done. They work 2 jobs if necessary to build enough money up to do that. They're not victim to it, they just make another plan. So have a look at your life and smile a little. And just looking, I'm sort of quite close to work here. I've just passed a house that I pass every single day, and never before did I notice that they've got one huge vegetable garden. Why have I never noticed that before? It's like they've taken about a third of their garden and turned it into a vegetable garden. So I bet you they eat a lot of fresh vegetables in that house. have a good day, everybody. And I am very, very grateful for the fact that you listen. Again, got a few more notes from people telling me that they are enjoying the morning ramblings, as somebody called it. And that obviously pleases me. I want to know, actually, if there's anything in particular any of you would like me to talk about. I sort of try and find something to talk about each morning, but I just wondered if there's anything in particular that any of you would like to talk about. I don't think I've given you a virtual hug for a while, so there's one. And I hope you have a wonderful day if you're listening to this in the morning, a wonderful afternoon or evening, depending on when you are listening to this. I'm about to hopefully have a wonderful day at work, if I make it that way, and if I ignore all the extraneous stuff that will be going on, all the things that are destined to try and ruin my day, and if I refuse to do that. I had great fun yesterday, by the way. One of our big clients phoned, and I don't often get to speak to him because he doesn't normally phone me about his bills personally, but he did phone me about something, and it was quite cute. Because he said, I have a question. And of course I was very polite and said, how may I help you? And then about 2 minutes later he said, oh, I have another question. Well, it's me. And I went, no, wait a minute. It's Wednesday. You're only allowed one question on Wednesdays. And he burst out laughing. Do you think that lowered his stress a little? I hope so. Do you think that he had a bit of a smile on his face when he put the phone down? I hope so. Because if he did, then he's likely to pass that forward. He'll probably either use the same tactic on somebody else, or else just instinctively he will make somebody else's day brighter by making them smile. It's one of the nice things about doing a good deed for people. People nearly always pay it forward. It's instinctive that they do that. So, make it a good day, make it fun, be emotionally intelligent today. This is Dear Mama Sal saying,